You remember the story of the Titanic. A grand and well-respected ship cut down by an iceberg, with thousands of passengers on board, and the hundreds that were saved, only due to the wireless transmissions sending out an SOS for ships like the heroic Carpathia to come to the survivors' rescue. But what if I told you there was an identical incident 20 years before the Titanic? Except this time, there were no radio operators, no rescue parties, and no sign of where the ship had gone. Only a vanished vessel and 74 missing men. This is the tale of the SS Naronic. March 4th, 1893. The SS Coventry encounters a capsized lifeboat in the northern Atlantic, followed by a second, upright lifeboat with its sail intact, though narrowly swamped. These derelict craft, from their nameplates, were discovered to be from the White Star Line freighter SS Naronic. Eerily enough, these boats were discovered mere miles from where the Naronic's luxury ocean liner cousin, the Titanic, would sink over 2 decades later. Unlike Titanic, however, no wreck has ever been found. The lifeboats serve as the only evidence to the vessel's sinking and the loss of its 74 crew, and even sparked a now-forgotten, ravenous media narrative that would speculate for years about what could have happened. Contrary to popular belief, the White Star Line's interests weren't solely focused on the otherwise costly, not always so profitable, luxury ocean liner market, but managed to be innovative enough to include a predominantly cargo and shipping-based fleet servicing the lucrative Atlantic livestock trade, though other cargo, like resources such as coal, were often part of their business. The Naronic herself, like most White Star Line ships, was constructed at Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Ireland. She was a modest ship, by no means small, yet not as large or record-breaking as the later grandiose ocean liners. She was a livestock ship full and through, with no frills or showmanship. Completed on July 11th of 1892, she was considered a modern design at the time, also equipped to accommodate a small number of passengers, in addition to her livestock-carrying duties, in order to maximize the amount of profit that could be squeezed out of her. The Naronic embarked on her maiden voyage from Liverpool to New York on July 15th, 1892, and operated without incident for months. Her final voyage began on February 11th, 1893, under Captain William Roberts, a veteran with 20 years at White Star Line, carrying 74 men, including 50 crewmen, 14 cattlemen, and 10 horse traders, along with 3,572 tons of general cargo and over 1,000 tons of Welsh coal. The last destination she was ever seen at was after dropping off the harbor pilot in Point Linus, Wales, wherein she would sail out into the Atlantic amidst the calls for a ferocious winter storm bound for New York. She later disappeared without a trace. Concern grew after she failed to arrive, but only to the relevant parties bereaved by the disappearance. After some time, of no word nor sign of her, the story broke out in the New York Times on March 2nd of that same year, the same day the SS Coventry reported finding the abandoned lifeboats. Afterward, intense speculation about her fate ensued, ranging from the most likely to the most fantastical and spectacular, including even rumors and a hoax that an infamous political terrorist at the time, who was known for bombing British ships, was responsible, though it was immediately cleared as he wasn't even in Britain at the time of the Naronic's departure. The intrigue and mystery deepened when messages in bottles were found floating to the shore. One was found at Bay Ridge, New York on March 3rd and read, "Naronic sinking, all hands praying. God have mercy on us." Signed by L. Winslow. Another, found on March 30th in Ocean View, Virginia, detailed the ship's encounter with the winter storm and striking an iceberg while caught in a fog, signed by a cattleman. Another, and perhaps the most infamous, simply read, "All hands lost, Naronic. No time to say more," and was presumably signed with a T, though others have since speculated it may very well have been a cross. The British Board of Trade later held a board of inquiry to investigate and conclude what may have happened to the Naronic and what could have caused the disaster. Despite the detailed accounts in the bottled messages, their authenticity was questioned, especially since none of the names matched those on the ship's manifest, and most heavily detailed, the cattleman's message, arrived only a day after the news had broken. And, furthermore, the improbability that the man's last thoughts were to inform his employers of his eternal termination. The board found little evidence to explain the disappearance, dismissing the bottle messages and theories that an iceberg had done the ship in, despite other ships reporting heavy ice in the area. It is here one thing becomes perfectly clear to all who listen well to the loss of the story of the SS Naronic. Before wireless communication with your ship sank, there was no one to hail for rescue. Such a notion brings to light feelings of supreme and terrible loneliness, as well as isolation. Imagine yourself in their position. Your ship has sunk in the middle of the night, in a winter storm so ferocious, your lifeboat is guaranteed to flounder or capsize. No one knows where you are or what has happened. The only thing you can hope for is that your family might receive closure after your passing, as the chances of making it through the disaster are nigh impossible. In this vein, it is unlike all other videos shared on this channel previously, as this is the one case where there was never a search and rescue party formed. The White Star Line only altered Teutonic's course slightly and asked to keep a lookout for the potential sighting of the Naronic, while the ship itself and its crew were presumed lost with all hands. They were nothing more than a somewhat substantial investment of labor and resources lost to the seas, which for a shipping company was expected and accounted for. They weren't passengers, they were employees, all replaceable and little more than numbers in a ledger, gone without a word or a trace of goodbye.
If you enjoyed this video, kindly like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.